Mommy, will you read me a book? Oh my God, the simplest ask. And yet sometimes I felt like I just couldn't. I'd say yes, but honestly, I was exhausted. I was depleted. I was longing for just a moment where nobody needed me. Nobody needed anything. And I sometimes even dreaded reading them this simple book. And not because I didn't love them, but because I felt like I was running on fumes already. But every single time I pushed through and I did read the story, something shifted.
I used to sob in the shower just about every morning, just hoping that the sound of the water would mask my agony. On the outside, I looked successful, but inside, I was crumbling. It took heartbreak, reinvention, and a whole lot of unlearning before I realized the life I was craving wasn't just going to arrive. I had to create it. Most people are chasing clarity, confidence, or success, but what they really need is to feel safe enough to be fully seen, fully expressed, and fully alive. Welcome to the All Out As Is podcast, a podcast for brave hearted humans, leaders, visionaries, and world changers ready to stop performing and start living in truth. I'm your host, Adia, mindset coach, dance educator, and walking permission slip, here to help you untangle the pressure, move with purpose, and build a life that feels like freedom. Each week, we dive into mindset, clarity, reinvention, aligned growth, lessons learned from the hard seasons, and the real behind the scenes of building a business and life that feels like freedom. You don't have to become someone new. Just give yourself permission to live all out as is. So let's take a breath and let's begin.
Hey y'all, I am coming to you from Voghera, Italy, and today's episode is a little bit vulnerable. Honestly, it's one I didn't expect to record, but it's something that has really been showing up in my life. And when I finally kind of said it out loud, it hit me just how deeply it applies not only to business, but to parenting, to love, to pretty much every relationship that I care about. Also, I have like bugs everywhere, but it's so beautiful being here in Italy. So, okay. So back to the topic. Why do we resist things? The very things we know that'll make us feel more connected, more proud, more in alignment with who we really are. Okay, I'm going to start with my business. Recently in a mastermind, I shared this frustration that I'd been having and this resistance around actually sending personal follow-ups. Like someone downloads my freebie or we have a great discovery call. And I know that a quick video check-in or a message could really mean the world to them and really like change, help them to make whatever decision is best for them and maybe change the trajectory of their life. And when I do this, they respond and they feel seen and sometimes they sign up. Either way, sometimes they'll say thank you and keep me in mind for later, depending on the situation, but it's always a meaningful moment of connection. Yet sometimes I still hesitate. I delay. I distract myself. I make up some internal excuse like I'll do it later. They probably don't want to hear from me again so soon. All sorts of things that I just tell myself to really escape what I need to do. And deep down though, I feel like I know the truth that it's not about the time. It's not about needing a better system. It's really about resistance. It's a form of self-protection. It's this old quiet fear of maybe not being enough or maybe being too much. I'm in this super cool mastermind with Chris and Lori, and they gave me such a powerful reframe when I had a question about this resistance. They said, resistance is a breadcrumb, not just a block. It's a signal. It's like a doorway. It's trying to tell you something. So I asked myself, okay, what is my resistance saying? And that's when I realized this isn't just happening in business. In fact, if I think long and hard about it, it's probably been happening in my life for years. So I'm going to share with you this story from when I was a newer mom. At the end of the day, after everyone needed everything from me, I'd hear that little innocent voice of one of my kids. Mommy, will you read me a book? Oh my God, the simplest ask. And yet sometimes I felt like I just couldn't. I'd say yes, but honestly, I was exhausted. I was depleted. I was longing for just a moment where nobody needed me. Nobody needed anything. And I sometimes even dreaded reading them this simple book. And not because I didn't love them, but because I felt like I was running on fumes already. But every single time I pushed through and I did read the story, something shifted. Something shifted in me. I felt proud of myself. I felt close to them. I felt like I was really, truly being the mom that I had wanted to be. So I'm like, Adia, why? Why did you resist the night before? Why are you resisting again the next night and the next night? The reality is it wasn't about the book. It wasn't about reading to my kid. It was about the story that I had been telling myself. The story that I had nothing left to give. That I needed to protect myself from being drained again. And I know a lot of you moms and dads can resonate with this, but it's like, just like in business, the connection I wanted was on the other side of the resistance. So then I think about like romantic relationships. And in the past, I've even seen this pattern. Like sometimes a simple, kind word, an encouraging text, a phone call when they're having a rough day. Those types of things are small, but they're super meaningful. And sometimes I hesitate. Like, for whatever reason, it's so silly. And it's not because I don't care. It's because somewhere in me, yet again, there's this fear of either being too much or getting it wrong, or honestly, maybe sometimes even giving more than I get back. But every time I do lean in with love, I feel closer. I feel more grounded. I feel more connected to my partner. I feel more connected to my friends, my family. I feel like I'm contributing to something that's just really beautiful. And so then I ask myself again, why do I hold myself back? Why do we hold ourselves back from what leads to connection? Here's what I've come to understand. So resistance often shows up when we're about to do something that makes us emotionally vulnerable. It's not necessarily hard. We just feel exposed. We fear being seen and not met. We fear giving and being ignored. We fear caring and not having it reciprocated. But truly the antidote to that fear isn't more strategy. It's just more honesty. So what I'm trying to do now is, first of all, naming the resistance when it shows up. And I try to remember to ask it, what are you trying to protect me from? Adia, what are you trying to protect yourself from? And then I remind myself that I'm safe, that love and connection and growth are really worth the small risk of being uncomfortable. I'm creating little action plans. I'm journaling about it. I'm sending a note a day. If I had little ones again, I'd make sure I was reading them a bedtime story. I'm doing my best to celebrate the act and not the outcome, because every single time I do the thing that I was resisting, I truly come out with more aligned energy and a more aligned version of myself, the person that I really want to be. So if you're listening to this and you've been noticing your own resistance, whether it's in business, in parenting, in love, or maybe even just taking care of yourself, I really want to invite you to ask yourself, what am I avoiding that I know will make me proud of myself? What simple act of connection have I been holding back? And maybe even journal like I do and think through, what is the worst thing I believe can happen if I follow through? What is the worst? And what's also the best thing that might happen if I lean in? If I lean into this action, if I choose to move forward despite this resistance. Yeah, think about it. Journal about it. I'd love to hear about it too. I'd love for you to send me a DM. Ultimately, a lot of times we resist the very thing that is going to bring us back to who we truly are. So that's what I had to share today. I hope this was helpful for someone. And if it was, I would really love to hear from you. Send me a message, a comment. I'd love to know what you're up to. And I would love to work with you. If you're looking for a coach, I am taking a few clients this month and would love to be able to be a part of your journey and help encourage you and inspire you. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you on the next podcast on the All Out As Is. And make sure you live all out as is your way. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for being here. And if this episode brought you clarity, gave you a shift, or helped you feel more alive, I'd love it if you shared it with a fellow leader, dreamer, or visionary in your life. I always love hearing what resonates with you, so please feel free to send me a DM, and it would mean so much to me if you left a 5-star review to help more people find this space. If you're ready to take this deeper, check the show notes for ways we can work or grow together. Whether you're leading from a stage, in your community, or in your own healing, just remember this. Your power isn't in who you're trying to become, it's in who you already are. So keep showing up, keep moving forward, and keep living all out as is.